The rain hammered against the window like 1,000 tiny accusations, each drop echoing the chaos in my chest as I stared at the photo on Ethan's fridge. Mia, all gap-toothed grin and wild curls, oblivious to the storm outside or the one brewing inside her father. I'd only come over to grab my forgotten jacket after babysitting. But there he was, Ethan, slumped at the kitchen table, his broad shoulders shaking with silent sobs that cut deeper than any knife. In that moment, as lightning cracked the sky, I realized the man I'd been falling for wasn't just hiding his grief. He was drowning in it, and somehow, I'd become the lifeline he never asked for. I froze in the doorway, the damp chill from the Seattle night seeping through my sweater, but it was nothing compared to the cold grip of fear twisting in my gut. Ethan hadn't heard me come in. His back was to me, head bowed over a crumpled letter that fluttered slightly in the draft from the cracked window. Mia was asleep upstairs, her soft snores a distant comfort through the baby monitor on the counter. But down here, the air was thick with unspoken pain. I'd known Ethan for months now, ever since he moved into the quiet cul-de-sac in Capitol Hill, a neighborhood that prided itself on its progressive facade but whispered judgments behind picket fences. He was the single dad with the easy smile and the toddler who charmed every dog walker on the block, but tonight, that smile was shattered. "Ethan," my voice came out smaller than I intended, barely audible over the relentless downpour. He jolted upright, swiping at his eyes with the back of his hand, but it was too late. I'd seen the raw vulnerability, the kind that strips a man bare. His dark hair was disheveled, sticking up in tufts from where he'd run his fingers through it too many times, and his hazel eyes, usually warm like aged whiskey, were red-rimmed and haunted. "Alex," he rasped, forcing a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. "You scared the hell out of me. Jacket's on the hook. Sorry, I didn't hear you knock." I didn't move. The letter on the table caught my eye. Official letterhead from some law firm in downtown Seattle, words like custody and best interests jumping out like landmines. My heart plummeted. Ethan had mentioned his ex in passing, Ryan, the high-powered attorney who'd bailed when Mia was barely a year old, chasing some corporate ladder that led straight out of their lives. But this looked like war. "What's going on?" I asked, stepping closer, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. "Talk to me." He hesitated, glancing toward the stairs as if Mia might materialize and witness his unraveling. Then, with a sigh that seemed to deflate him entirely, he slid the letter across the table. "Ryan's back. Wants joint custody. Says I've been unstable. That Mia needs a real family." His voice cracked on the last word, and I felt a surge of anger hot enough to burn away the rain's chill. Unstable? Ethan, who juggled night shifts at the hospital as an ER nurse, PDA meetings, and bedtime stories with the grace of a tightrope walker? The man who'd built a life from ashes, all while smiling through the stares from neighbors who assumed he was straight and grieving a tragic widowhood, instead of a bitter breakup with the love of his life. I scanned the document, my hands trembling. Ryan's claims were vicious. Allegations of Ethan's lifestyle endangering Mia, citing anonymous complaints from concerned community members. It reeked of prejudice, the kind that festered in Seattle's so-called liberal bubbles, where rainbow flags flew on porches, but whispers about those kinds of families lingered in coffee shop lines. "This is bullshit," I said, crumpling the edge before catching myself. "You're the best dad I've ever seen. Mia adores you. Hell, she calls me Unca Alex, like I'm already family." Ethan's gaze lifted to mine, searching, and for a heartbeat, the kitchen shrank to just us. The rain a muffled roar, the world outside irrelevant. I'd been babysitting for him 3 nights a week for the past 4 months, ever since we bonded over a spilled coffee at the neighborhood park. Me, Alex Rivera, 28-year-old graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs, with a sketchbook full of half-finished portraits and a heart scarred from my own coming out fallout 5 years back. My conservative Catholic family in Tacoma had disowned me faster than you could say disgrace, leaving me to rebuild in the city that promised acceptance but delivered it in uneven doses. Ethan had been a bright spot. His quiet strength, the way he'd ruffle my hair in thanks after a long shift, the late-night texts about Mia's latest crayon masterpiece. But feelings? I'd buried those deep, convinced a guy like him, steady, parent, poster child for resilience, wouldn't glance twice at a mess like me. Yet here we were, the air charged like the storm outside. "You don't have to get involved, Alex," he murmured, but his hand brushed mine as he reached for the letter, and neither of us pulled away. That touch lingered, electric, stirring something I'd denied for weeks. The ache to be more than the reliable friend, the babysitter who made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. But, God, it helps, having you here. I swallowed hard, my mind racing. Babysitting Mia had been my escape, her tiny hand in mine as we chased fireflies in the backyard, her giggles dissolving the loneliness I'd carried like a second skin. But it was Ethan's offhand compliments. "You look good with flour on your nose," that haunted my dreams. And now, with Ryan's shadow looming, everything felt precarious, like one wrong word could topple the fragile world we'd built. "I'm in," I said finally, my voice steadier than I felt. "Whatever this takes. For Mia. For you." He nodded, a ghost of a smile breaking through, but his eyes held a storm of their own, gratitude laced with fear, and something deeper, unspoken. As thunder rolled again, I wondered if he felt it too. The pull, the possibility. Little did I know, that night was just the spark. The real fire was coming, fueled by secrets, betrayals, and a love that would demand everything. The next morning dawned gray and sodden, Seattle's perpetual drizzle mirroring the fog in my head as I navigated the slick streets toward my tiny studio apartment in Fremont. Mia's laughter from last night's story time echoed in my ears, a counterpoint to the knot of worry Ethan's letter had tied in my stomach. I'd crashed on his couch after we talked into the wee hours, him spilling details about Ryan's charm offensive, how the man had swooped back into town with apologies and a shiny new partner, all to reclaim his place. Me, offering clumsy reassurances while sketching absent-mindedly on a napkin. Ethan's profile, fierce and tender. When he finally dozed off, head lolling against my shoulder, I'd stayed awake, tracing the lines of his face in the dim light, heart pounding with a truth I wasn't ready to name. Work was a blur. My latest client gig, a logo for a queer youth center, stared back at me from my laptop, vibrant colors mocking my distraction. I texted Ethan around noon. "How's the little monster? You holding up?" His reply buzzed in almost immediately, drawing unicorns. Me? One coffee away from collapse. Dinner later? My treat. A grin tugged at my lips despite everything. Dinner. Casual, right? But after last night, it felt loaded, like stepping onto a stage without a script. By evening, the rain had eased to a mist, cloaking the city in that ethereal glow that made even the grittiest alleys poetic. Ethan's house was a warm beacon, porch light on, the scent of garlic and basil wafting from the open door. Mia barreled into me the second I crossed the threshold, her pigtails flying like flags of chaos. "Unca Alex, Daddy made spaghettis, but I helped, and now there's sauce everywhere." She tugged me toward the kitchen, where Ethan stood at the stove, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded from years of lifting stretchers and toddlers alike. He turned, wiping his hands on a dish towel, and shot me that lopsided smile, the one that crinkled his eyes and made my knees weak. "Chaos chef at your service," he quipped, but his voice held an undercurrent of exhaustion. We settled at the table, Mia chattering about her daycare adventures while twirling noodles like a maestro. It was domestic bliss, the kind I'd only glimpsed in movies. Laughter bouncing off the walls, Ethan's foot accidentally, or not, brushing mine under the table. But as Mia's energy waned and we tucked her in with a chorus of goodnight songs, the mood shifted. Downstairs again, wine glasses in hand, Ethan leaned against the counter, his gaze distant. "Lawyer called today," he said after a sip, swirling the Merlot like it held answers. "Wants a meeting. Ryan's pushing for supervised visits, says my environment isn't suitable." The word hung heavy, laced with implication. I knew what he meant. The rainbow flag on his mailbox, the stack of Glad newsletters by the couch, the fact that Ethan was openly gay in a town that celebrated pride but clutched pearls at alternative families in the suburbs. "That's code for you're queer, and that's a problem," I muttered, anger flaring anew. My own scars itched, memories of my father's voice, Bible verses weaponized like grenades. "Choose this day whom you will serve." I'd chosen myself, fled to Seattle at 23, but the echoes followed. Ryan's using the system's biases against you. But we fight it. Together. Ethan set his glass down, stepping closer until the space between us hummed. Why are you doing this, Alex? Really? His eyes searched mine, intense, vulnerable. You're young, free, no strings. This could get messy. Ugly. I could have played it safe, joked about owing Mia for all the glitter crafts she'd forced on me. Instead, the truth tumbled out, raw and unfiltered. Because the first time I held Mia, read her that ratty copy of Goodnight Moon, I felt seen, like I belonged somewhere that wasn't temporary. And you? I broke off, heat rising in my cheeks. Watching you with her, the way you light up, it makes me want things I thought I'd given up on. A family. Stability. You. Silence stretched, thick as the mist outside. Then Ethan's hand cupped my cheek, thumb tracing my jawline with a gentleness that undid me. Alex, he whispered, voice rough with emotion, I've been fighting it too. Afraid to ruin what we have. But last night, when you stayed, it felt right. Like maybe we're not just surviving anymore. Our lips met then, tentative at first, a brush of warmth that bloomed into something fierce, all pent-up longing and quiet promises. It was a kiss born of storms weathered, not fireworks but hearth fires, steady and deep. When we pulled apart, foreheads touching, the world felt recalibrated. But as Ethan's phone buzzed on the counter, Ryan's name flashing like a warning, I knew this was only the beginning. Love in the margins was never simple. It was a battlefield, and we were just arming up. The days blurred into a tense rhythm. Mornings of coffee-fueled strategy sessions over Ethan's kitchen table, afternoons chasing Mia through puddle-strewn parks, evenings where touches lingered a beat too long, building towards something inevitable. I dove into research, poring over legal aid resources for LGBTQ+ parents, connecting Ethan with a fierce attorney named Jordan who specialized in custody battles laced with discrimination. We've got precedent, Jordan assured us over a video call, her no-nonsense Bob and Brooklyn accent a bomb. Ryan's playing dirty, but dirt washes off in court. Yet the undercurrent of dread never fully ebbed. Whispers started at Mia's daycare, subtle at first, a teacher's hesitant smile when picking her up, then outright stares from parents at the gate. Heard about the dad. One mom murmured to another, voice carrying on the wind. That letter everyone's talking about. Ethan's jaw clenched as he buckled Mia into her car seat, but he held it together for her sake, waving off my offers to confront them. Not worth the energy, he'd say, but I saw the toll, shadows under his eyes, the way his laugh rang hollow. One crisp Saturday, as autumn leaves painted Capitol Hill in fiery hues, the first Real crack appeared. We'd planned a low-key outing to the Seattle Arboretum, Mia armed with a magnifying glass, us with thermoses of hot cider. The air was alive with the crunch of gravel underfoot and her squeals at every rustling bush. But midway through, Ethan's phone lit up again. This time, it wasn't Ryan. It was his sister, Lila, calling from Portland. I wandered a few paces ahead with Mia, giving him space, but snippets carried back. I can't believe you'd drag him into this. He's not family, Ethan. What about protecting Mia from more scandal? My stomach twisted. Lila had always been the wild card, supportive in theory, but her texts dripped with well-meaning barbs about Ethan settling down properly. Hearing her voice now, laced with judgment, ignited a protective fury. By the time Ethan caught up, his face was a mask of controlled hurt. She means well, he said, but the words fell flat. Mia tugged at his hand, oblivious. Daddy, look. A fairy house. We pressed on, but the magic soured. That night, after Mia was down, the argument erupted, not yelling, but a quiet unraveling. You don't get it, Alex, Ethan said, pacing the living room, the arboretum's leaf caught in his hair like a taunt. Lila's right. Us. It's new, and Ryan's already painting me as reckless. What if bringing you in makes it worse? What if I lose her? I stood, closing the distance, my hands on his arms to still him. Or what if it makes you stronger? Mia loves me, Ethan. And you. You're not reckless. You're brave. Every day, you choose love over fear. Let me choose it with you. My voice cracked, the weight of my own fears surfacing, abandonment issues from my family, the terror that this happiness was borrowed. But saying it aloud, to him, felt like defiance. He searched my face, then pulled me close, our embrace fierce against the chill seeping through the windows. I'm scared, he admitted into my shoulder, the confession a dam breaking. Of losing everything. Again, we held on, breaths sinking, until the fear ebbed into resolve. But as we parted, a knock echoed, sharp, insistent. Ethan frowned, glancing at the clock, 10 p.m. Through the peephole, a neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, the one with the pristine lawn and the passive-aggressive HOA emails. Ethan, we need to talk. About that situation with your ex. And your friend. The air turned to ice. She'd seen us at the park, perhaps, or heard the rumors. Ethan opened the door a crack, his body shielding me instinctively. Not tonight, Evelyn. But she pressed, voice syrupy with concern. It's for Mia's sake. People are talking. That letter mentioned instability. We're all invested in this community. I stepped forward then, heart thundering. Invested? Or just nosy? The words slipped out sharper than intended, but they hung there, a gauntlet thrown. Mrs. Hargrove's eyes widened, flicking between us, realization dawning. I see, she said coolly, backing away. Good night, then. The door clicked shut, but the damage lingered, a harbinger of the battles ahead. In the aftermath, Ethan sank onto the couch, head in hands. This is what I meant. The judgment, it never stops. I knelt before him, tilting his chin up, our eyes locking in a silent vow. Then we face it. Together. No more hiding. That night, we didn't sleep. We planned, whispered dreams of a future unmarred by shadows, our fingers intertwined like roots seeking light. But deep down, I sensed the twist coming, the one that would test if our love was fortress or facade. Weeks slipped by in a haze of court prep and stolen moments, the kind that stitched us closer amid the fraying edges. Jordan's office became our second home, stacks of affidavits chronicling Ethan's devotion, photos of Mia's birthdays, volunteer logs from the hospital, even my own sworn statement about the nights I'd seen him prioritize her over exhaustion. This paints a picture, Jordan said, tapping her pen. Stable, loving. Ryan's case is smoke, no fire. But smoke chokes just the same, and Ethan's smiles grew thinner, his touches more desperate, like he was memorizing me in case it all vanished. Mia, bless her, remained the anchor. Her innocence cut through the tension like sunlight through clouds. One evening, as I colored with her at the coffee table, dragons breathing rainbows, because why not? She looked up, crayon paused mid-stroke. Uncle Alex, are you going to stay forever? Like Daddy says you make the best for it. My throat tightened. Ethan was in the kitchen, pretending not to eavesdrop, but his knife paused on the cutting board. I'd like that, kiddo, I said, ruffling her curls. Forts need builders, right? She beamed, hugging my arm, and in that squeeze, I glimpsed the forever I'd craved, the messy, crayon-streaked kind. But forever has cracks, and our spiderwebbed open on a foggy Tuesday. I'd just wrapped a design pitch when Ethan's text hit. Emergency at work. Can you get Mia from daycare? Ryan's picking her up tomorrow. Court order temp visit. My blood ran cold. We'd known it was coming, the supervised hour at a neutral site, but seeing it scheduled twisted the knife. I scooped Mia up early, her backpack bouncing as we dashed through the drizzle to the ice cream shop. Our emergency ritual. Double scoop, she pleaded, eyes wide. For brave girls. I agreed, watching her devour mint chip while I nursed a coffee, stomach churning. Handing her off the next day was agony. The visitation center was sterile, all beige walls and one-way mirrors. Ryan waiting in khakis and a polo that screamed reformed. He was handsome in that polished way, blonde, blue-eyed, the all-American facade. But his smile didn't reach his eyes as he knelt to Mia's level. Hey, princess. Missed you. She clung to my leg at first, whispering, Uncle Alex, stay? But Ryan's charm worked its magic. Soon she was giggling at his silly faces, waving by as he led her to the playroom. Ethan arrived, just as the door closed, face ashen. We waited in silence, hands clasped under the table, until the clock ticked past the hour. She emerged, beaming, clutching a stuffed unicorn, but the light dimmed when she saw Ethan's strained expression. Daddy, unicorn for the fort. Ryan followed, all affability. She's a delight. We had a great talk about family. His gaze slid to me, appraising, then to Ethan. We should discuss more. Privately. The implication hung, without the intruder. That night, the dam broke. Mia asleep, Ethan paced like a caged animal. He bought her off with a toy, Alex. And she lit up like he hadn't ghosted us for 2 years. Jealousy laced his words, not of me, but of the ghost Ryan represented, the what-ifs that haunted him. What if she wants him back in our lives? What if I'm not enough? I pulled him down beside me, our knees touching on the rug. You're everything. To her. To me. But doubt flickered in his eyes, and when he kissed me, it was hungry, edged with urgency, as if proving something to himself. We didn't cross lines, not with Mia upstairs, but the intensity left us breathless, tangled in each other's arms on the couch. I love you, he murmured against my neck, the words slipping out unplanned. My heart stuttered, love? We danced around it, but there it was, raw and real. I love you too, I echoed, the admission a key turning in a long locked door. The high crashed the next morning. Lila arrived unannounced, suitcase in tow, for support. But her embrace was stiff, her eyes scanning the living room like a crime scene. Over breakfast, as Mia chattered about her unicorn, Lila cornered me in the hallway. This is sweet, Alex, really. But Ethan's vulnerable. Ryan's a shark, you're… What? The rebound. Her words stung, laced with that familial protectiveness that bordered on sabotage. I'm not rebounding. I shot back, voice low. I'm committed. She arched a brow. To what? A custody war? Think about Mia. Ethan walked in then, sensing the frost, and the air thickened. By afternoon, it escalated. Lila pulling him aside for a sister talk, voices rising until Mia whimpered from her room. I intervened, scooping her up for an impromptu park run, leaving them to hash it. But when I returned, the house felt fractured, Lila's bags repacked, Ethan's jaw set. She thinks I'm selfish, dragging you in, he confessed later, as we washed dishes side by side. Says Ryan's offering stability, a house, resources. Maybe she's right. No. I tried a plate with more force than needed. Stability isn't a bank account. It's you singing off-key lullabies, teaching her to plant tulips. Don't let fear rewrite that. He turned, water dripping from his hands, and pulled me into a hug that soaked my shirt but mended something inside. Lila left the next day, apologies mumbled, but the seed of doubt she'd planted took root, whispering in quiet moments. Then came the twist, the one that blindsided us both. A week later, during a routine court update, Jordan dropped the bomb, Ryan's withdrawing the custody push. Says he's reconsidered after seeing Ethan's setup. Relief flooded Ethan, tears pricking his eyes as he crushed me in a bear hug. We won, he breathed. But victory tasted off. Ryan's sudden pivot reeked of calculation. That night, as we celebrated with takeout pizza and Mia's victory dance, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. The voicemail, Ryan's voice, smooth as silk. Tell Ethan congratulations. But if he thinks this ends it, he's wrong. I know things about you, Alex. Things that could unravel everything. Ice water in my veins. What did he know? My past. The family disownment. The brief, messy fling in college that ended in restraining orders? Or something current, unearthed by his legal minions? I deleted the message, heart hammering, but the threat lingered like smoke. Ethan noticed my pallor, brow furrowing. You okay? I forced a smile. Pizza coma. But as I tucked Mia in, kissing her forehead, a fierce protectiveness surged. Whatever Ryan had, I'd bury it. For them. For us. Little did I know, the real unraveling was just beginning, tied to a secret from my own shadowed history. The following days were a tightrope walk. Ethan's joy infectious as he planned a freedom picnic for Mia's sake, while I buried myself in work, combing old emails for ghosts Ryan might exploit. Sleep evaded me, replaced by nightmares of courtrooms and accusatory stares, echoes of my father's final sermon. You're choosing darkness, son. I'd clawed out of that darkness, but Ryan's call dragged it back, tendrils wrapping around the light Ethan and Mia had brought. It culminated at the picnic, Discovery Park's meadows alive with families and frisbees, the sound glittering under a rare blue sky. Mia darted between us, wildflower crown askew, while Ethan and I spread a blanket, our fingers brushing as we unpacked sandwiches. To new beginnings, he toasted with sparkling cider, his free hand squeezing my thigh under the guise of playfulness. The normalcy was intoxicating. almost enough to drown the voicemail's echo. Until Ryan appeared. Not crashing. Exactly. He strolled up with a casual wave, as if we'd invited him, a bouquet of daisies in hand for Mia. Thought I'd drop by, celebrate the truce. Ethan's body tensed beside me, but for Mia's sake, he nodded stiffly. Thanks. She's over there. Ryan knelt, presenting the flowers with a flourish, and Mia's delight pierced me, innocent, unscarred. But as he rose, his eyes locked on mine, a smirk playing at his lips. Alex, good to finally meet the man behind the affidavits. The conversation stayed surface level, Ryan charming the tension away with anecdotes about his new life in Chicago, but undercurrents pulled strong. When Mia tugged him to chase butterflies, Ethan leaned in, voice low. What game is this? Ryan shrugged, gaze flicking to me. No game, just tying loose ends. Heard you're quite the artist, Alex. Ever sketch anything? Regrettable? My pulse spiked. He knew. But how much? The afternoon dragged, every laugh forced, until Ryan departed with a hug for Mia and a parting shot. Call me if you need anything, Ethan. Family's family. Alone again, Ethan exhaled shakily. That was weird. I nodded, throat dry, but said nothing. The lie by omission nod, a crack widening. That evening, as Mia crashed early from the excitement, the dam burst. Ethan found the voicemail I'd stupidly left undeleted on my phone, screen unlocked on the counter. His face, when he played it, was a storm cloud. What the hell, Alex? Why didn't you tell me? Hurt etched deep, betrayal sharpening his words. Is this why he backed off? Blackmail? What does he have on you? I sank onto the bed, the room spinning. It's old. College. A guy. Ex, who got obsessive. I got a protection order, moved on. Nothing that touches you or Mia. But even as I spoke, shame flooded in. The fear that my baggage made me unworthy. I didn't want to drag you down. Not when things were finally good. Ethan paced, hands fisting in his hair. Good? This is trust, Alex. We're in this, or we're not. His voice broke, vulnerability raw. I opened up about Ryan. The nights I cried myself empty after he left. And you hide this? What else? The argument spiraled, words like shrapnel, my defensiveness clashing with his fear of more secrets. The specter of instability Ryan had weaponized, now self-inflicted. Maybe Lila was right, he muttered at one point. The words a gut punch. Maybe I'm selfish for wanting this when it's so fragile. I recoiled, the room's walls closing in. Don't let him win by doubting us. But doubt had teeth. He slept on the couch that night, the space between us a chasm. Morning brought stilted coffee, Mia's chatter the only bridge. I left for a client meeting, really a walk to clear my head, replaying every misstep. By noon, resolve hardened. I couldn't lose them. Not to Ryan, not to my silence. Returning, I found Ethan on the porch, Mia napping inside. We need to talk, I said, sitting beside him. All of it. No more walls. He nodded, weary but willing, and as I spilled, the ex's stalking, the family fallout that left me adrift, the terror of tainting his fresh start. His expression softened. I get fear, he said finally, hand finding mine. Ryan's call? It was a bluff. He admitted it later, testing if I'd fold. But you should have trusted me with your shadows. Tears welled, mutual, and in that catharsis, forgiveness bloomed. I do trust you, I whispered. More than anyone. We rebuilt from there, slower, surer. Therapy sessions for Ethan on co-parenting scars. Art classes where I taught Mia to draw her feelings. Date nights that reaffirmed our spark without the weight. Ryan faded to mediated visits, his threats hollow. But the real climax brewed not from him, but from within. The ultimate test of whether our love could weather the deepest prejudice, Ethan's own. It hit during Pride Month, Seattle streets a riot of color and cheers. But for us, a quiet float entry with Mia waving a tiny flag. The joy was palpable until a counter-protest loomed on the sidelines. Signs spewing hate, voices chanting slurs that slithered through the din. Mia, perched on Ethan's shoulders, pointed innocently. Daddy, why they yelling? He faltered, the mask slipping, and in that moment, old wounds reopened. Later, at home, unpacking the day, he confessed over wine, seeing that. It brought back Ryan's words. Your lifestyle. What if I'm poisoning her? teaching her to live in the crosshairs. His doubt was a knife, twisting in the heart of our progress. You're teaching her love? I countered, fierce. Unconditional. That's the antidote. But he pulled away, eyes distant. Or maybe I'm lying to her, promising a world that hates us back. The chasm yawned again, wider, and for days, he withdrew. Extra shifts, solo park trips with Mia, leaving me on the periphery, aching. The breaking point came unexpectedly. A school event, Mia's first family share, where kids brought a loved one to talk crafts. Ethan asked me, hesitant, will you? Show her it's okay. I did, heart swelling as she beamed. Uncle Alex makes magic pictures. But whispers rippled, parents side-eyeing, one dad muttering, two dads. Confusing for the kids. Ethan overheard, face crumpling post-event. Driving home, silence thick, he pulled over abruptly. I can't do this to her. The stares, the questions. Maybe Ryan was half right. Maybe she needs normal. Tears burned my eyes. Normal? Or safe in a box that suffocates you? We argued in the car, rain lashing anew, Mia asleep in back. I love you, I pleaded. But if you choose fear, I can't force you to choose us. He stared out at the blur. Then, what if I choose wrong? The twist that saved us was Mia, waking mid-fight, voice small. Daddy? Uncle Alex? Why sad? We family. Simple, profound. Ethan broke, sobbing into his hands, and I held him as the truth crystallized. Family wasn't blood or societal stamps. It was chosen, fought for, imperfect. You're right, baby, he whispered to her. Then to me, we are. All of us. From there, the high tide turned. Ethan confronted his fears head-on, joining a support group for queer parents, channeling pain into advocacy, even mending fences with Lila over a tearful call. Ryan's visit stabilized, civil if distant. And me? I proposed, not rings, but permanence. Move in. Officially. Let's build that fort forever. His yes, sealed with a kiss under Seattle's ever-gray sky, was the climax we'd earned. Love not as fairy tale, but as fortress, weathered and whole. Months unfurled like tentative blossoms, our life weaving into a tapestry richer for its scars. My studio sketches now featured Mia's whims, dragons with her face, Ethan's hands cradling stars, and freelance gigs poured in, buoyed by the Queer Center's logo success. Ethan's shifts eased with a promotion to charge nurse, his confidence blooming as he mentored new parents in the ER's family wing. We were a unit. Grocery runs with Mia in the cart's helm, movie nights where she'd critique our popcorn choices, quiet mornings where Ethan's head on my chest felt like home's heartbeat. Yet peace, I've learned, is fragile lace, easily snagged. The snag came via email, innocuous at first, an invite to my high school reunion in Tacoma. Catch up with old friends, it chirped, but the attached photo grid twisted my gut. Smiling faces from a past I'd fled, my parents' stern portraits glaring from the top row. Ethan noticed my distraction over dinner, fork pausing mid-bite. What's got you ghosting your pasta? I hesitated, then handed over the phone. His brow furrowed. Reunion? You never talk about Tacoma. The floodgates creaked. I hadn't returned since the disownment, flying the nest at 23, severing ties with a single, searing letter. I'm gay. I won't hide anymore. Goodbye. My parents' response. Silence. Then a package of my belongings on the doorstep, Bible highlighted to Leviticus. It's history, I said lightly, but Ethan's gaze pierced. History that still bites. Go. Show them the man you are now. With us. His words echoed as I drove south. The I-5 corridor a blur of evergreens and regret. Tacoma loomed gray, its industrial waterfront unchanged, but I was, taller in spirit, armed with photos of Mia's latest masterpiece. Ethan's encouraging text, proud of you. Kick-ass. The reunion venue was a kitschy banquet hall, balloons sagging like deflated dreams, laughter tinny over bad acoustics. Classmates swarmed, hugs obligatory. Alex. Designer now? Cool. But undercurrents swirled. Pitying glances, whispers about that family drama. Then, my brother, Marco, older, straighter, the golden son, clapped my shoulder. Heard you're settled. Good for you. His wife, pregnant and beaming, added, Mom and Dad miss you. They're here, you know. My stomach dropped. I'd assumed avoidance, But there they were, across the room. Dad in his Sunday best, Mom's hair still that impeccable bob. They approached slowly, as if I were a skittish animal, and the air thickened with unspoken indictments. "Alexander," Dad said, voice gruff, extending a hand. No embrace. Mom's eyes, once warm, now wary. "You look well." Small talk stumbled. Weather, jobs, then the bomb. Marco's wife prompting, "Tell them about your family, Alex." I swallowed, pulling out my phone. "This is Mia, my niece. Well, Ethan's daughter. And Ethan, my partner." The photo glowed. Us three at the park, mid-laugh. Silence stretched, then Mom's gasp. "Partner? As in?" Dad's face hardened, the old lines deepening. "We prayed you'd find your way back." The words landed like blows, dredging up sermons, slammed doors. "My way," I said, voice steady despite the quake inside. "Is this love? Real family?" Marco shifted uncomfortably, but Mom reached out, tentative. "She's beautiful." "Does she?" "No." The question hung, a bridge or a break. "She knows love," I replied. "That's enough." They nodded, awkward, but a seed cracked, Dad muttering, "Drive safe." Mom slipping me a photo from her purse, me at 10, grinning toothless. No apology, but a thaw. Driving back, tears blurred the highway, catharsis bittersweet. Ethan's arms waited at home, Mia's sleepy hugged the balm. "How'd it go?" he murmured. "Healing," I whispered. "Thanks to you." But twists favor the bold, and ours lurked in unexpected quarters. Lila's redemption arc surprised us most. After her visit's fallout, she'd ghosted, but a care package arrived. Books on queer parenting, a letter. I was scared. For him. But seeing you too? You're the family he needs. Aunt Lila's coming around. Her next visit was tentative tea, then full immersion. Baking with Mia, late-night talks with Ethan about Ryan's lingering barbs. I judged. She admitted to me one evening, as we washed dishes. Thought straight equaled safe. But you're the rock. Emboldened, Ethan proposed a bold step. A family trip to Portland, Lila's turf, to stitch the siblings tighter. We packed the Prius with snacks and stories, Mia's road trip, chance fueling the miles. Portland welcomed with food carts and bridges aglow, but the real bridge was the dinner, Lila's table laden, her partner Javier cracking dad jokes. Laughter flowed, but midway, Ryan called Ethan, an update on Mia's upcoming visit, voice oily. "Heard you're playing house. Careful, courts don't love instability." Ethan's fork clattered, color draining. We froze, the bubble pricked. Lila, sharp as ever, snatched the phone post call. "That bastard. Want me to lawyer up?" But Ethan waved her off, turning to me with eyes stormy. "He knows about the reunion. Taunted me. Said your dysfunction proves I'm unfit." The room spun, Ryan's tentacles everywhere. Mia, sensing shift, climbed into his lap. "Daddy, tell me man no." Her simplicity slayed him, and us. We rallied. Lila digging into Ryan's Chicago dealings. Turns out, his stability was a shaky firm on the brink, me drafting a cease and desist with Jordan's help. The counterpunch landed. Ryan, cornered, agreed to mediated terms, no more threats. Victory tasted of Portland rain and Lila's hug. "You did it." Family sticks. Back in Seattle, the high crested with a surprise. Ethan's hospital holiday party, black tie optional. Mia in a velvet dress twirling for nurses. I felt underdressed in my best button-down, but Ethan's whisper, "You clean up nice," melted nerves. Dancing to cheesy carols, Mia between us, the world narrowed to our rhythm. But as confetti fell, a shadow crossed. Ethan's colleague, Dr. Hale, pulling him aside, murmurs grave. Heart sinking, I waited. "Cancer. Early stage, caught in routine scans. Prostate. Treatable, but terrifying." The diagnosis hit like a rogue wave. Ethan's face ashen in the parking lot. "I didn't want to ruin the night," he choked, gripping the wheel. Mia, buckled in back, oblivious. "Daddy, more spin?" I forced brightness for her, but inside, terror roared. "We'll fight," I vowed, hand on his knee. Like always. The battle lines redrew overnight. Appointments, chemo consults, Ethan's resolve stealing even as fear gnawed. Mia adapted with drawings of superhero daddy, Lila flying up weekly for moral support. Ryan, shockingly, offered truces, Visits paused for health, a grudging olive branch. But the deepest conflict brewed in Ethan. What if I can't be strong for her? For us. Nights blurred into vigils, my sketches now maps of hope, cells battling, love as armor. One midnight, as rain lashed again, he broke. I pushed you away before, from fear. Can't do that now. I held him, tears mingling. You don't have to. We're the team. Dawn brought decision. Clinical trial in Boston, 3 months away. Uproot, or stay local, risk your odds? The choice loomed, a precipice. The decision crystallized in a hospital conference room, fluorescent lights buzzing like doubts. Dr. Patel, Ethan's oncologist, laid out options: Seattle's standard protocol, solid, but slower recovery, or Boston's trial, cutting-edge immunotherapy with promising remission rates. Aggressive, but you're young, healthy otherwise, she said, charts splayed. Ethan studied them, jaw tight, while I traced Mia's latest doodle on my notepad, a family of stick figures holding hands against a storm. Boston, he decided finally, voice steady. For her. For us. Uprooting felt like betrayal to the life we'd clawed for. Capitol Hill's familiar streets, Mia's daycare routine, my freelance rhythm. But love demands sacrifice, and as we packed, neighbors rallied. Mrs. Hargrove, chastened by rumors of her role in Ryan's letter, baked lasagna. The Queer Center hosted a send-off, toasts to resilience. Lila drove up, commandeering boxes. Portland's got space if you need it en route. Even my Tacoma ghost stirred. Mom's tentative email. Heard about Ethan. Prayers. Call if you need. A bridge, rickety but real. The cross-country haul was Odyssey. Prius stuffed. Mia's adventure, masking our strain. Stops blurred. Oregon dunes where she chased waves. Idaho motels with sing-alongs. But nights. Ethan wilted, nausea from pretrial meds hitting hard. I'd hold his hair back over dingy sinks, whisper, "You're my warrior," until he slept, fist clutching mine. Ryan's shadow flickered. A check-in call, civil. Heard the news. Anything for Mia? Ethan, hoarse, just space. The concession felt like armor cracking, revealing the man beneath the shark. Boston welcomed with autumn bite. Our sublet a cozy brownstone in Cambridge, Ivy Leagues and history, but home via Mia's toys scattering the floors. The trial center was a hive. White coats, for drips, fellow fighters swapping war stories. Ethan's first infusion was brutal, fever spiking, world narrowing to chills, and my vigil at his bedside. Tell me about before, he murmured through delirium, and I did. Childhood sketches in Tacoma garages, first crush on a debate club boy, the liberation of Seattle's rain. You saved me, he said, eyes clearing. No, we save each other. Mia's adjustment was the true trial. New preschool, accents lilting, but she thrived, her chatter a lifeline during Ethan's low days. Daddy's getting superpowers, she'd declare to teachers, drawing vials as magic wands. I juggled remote design work, virtual playdates, but isolation crept. Boston's bustle alien, friends' check-ins fading to emojis. One video call with Lila, as Ethan napped, I cracked. What if he doesn't come back the same? She leaned in, fierce. He will. Changed, stronger. Like you. The conflict peaked mid-cycle, round 2 hitting harder. Hallucinations, paranoia whispering doubts. Ethan lashed out post-drip, voice venom. This is what you signed up for? Watching me waste away. The room spun, his words flaying old wounds. My ex's abandonment echoing. I signed up for you. I shot back, tears hot. Sick or not. But if you push me out, that's on you. Silence stretched, then his sob. I'm terrified. Of leaving her. You. I climbed into bed, holding him as tremors subsided, apologies murmured into skin. We're unbreakable, I vowed, and in that raw hour, we were, forged in fire's honest blaze. Surprises sweetened the bitter. The trial's early scans showed shrinkage, Dr. Patel's grin wide, responding better than average. Cheers erupted in the brownstone. Mia smearing cake on Ethan's cheeks, Lila toasting via Zoom. But the real revelation came from Ryan. A letter, forwarded, penitent. I was scared too, of losing control. Seeing Ethan fight this? Perspective. Let's co-parent right, for her. Ethan read it aloud, voice thick, then burned it in the sink. Not forgiveness yet. but truce. The gesture liberated, shadows lifting. As winter thawed, so did we. Ethan's hair regrowing in soft spikes, energy returning for harbor walks, Mia's snow angels. My art flourished. A series for the center, portraits of queer survivors. Ethan's Face the Muse. One evening, as cherry blossoms dusted the common, he knelt. Not proposal, but promise. When we're home, rings. Vows. The works. My yes tangled with his laugh, Mia clapping from her wagon. Yay. Wedding fort. Return to Seattle was triumph. Airport hugs from neighbors, Mia's old friends mobbing her at the park. But reintegration tested. Ethan's leave extended, Ryan's visits resuming awkwardly, my Tacoma ties tugging with a hesitant invite. Family Easter, neutral ground. We went, Mia the icebreaker, and those sermons skirted edges. Dad's handshake lingered. Proud, son. In my way. Fractured, but mending. The final high loomed in summer's heat. Ethan's full remission scan. A clean bill that unleashed sobs in the doctor's office. Clear, she confirmed, and we stumbled out into sunlight, kissing fiercely on the sidewalk, Mia giggling. Gross, but happy. Homecoming party swelled. Lila, Javier, Jordan, even Mrs. Hargrove with pie. Toasts flowed. To battles won, loves deepened. Yet in quiet aftermath, as stars pricked the balcony sky, Ethan turned to me. Babysitting, you started this. That rainy night. Your jacket forgotten, my world cracking. I smiled, arm around him, Mia asleep inside. And I realized then, I wanted in. Forever. Our kiss sealed it. Not end, but endless. A family forged in storms, unbreakable, blooming. Remission's glow lingered like summer haze, but life, ever the trickster, layered new hues. Ethan's return to the ER was phased, mornings charting cases, afternoons home with Mia, and me sketching in the yard. My freelance empire grew. The Survivor series caught a gallery's eye in Pioneer Square, opening night a whirl of champagne and critiques that validated every stroke. Raw, resonant. The curator gushed, but Ethan's quiet pride, hand on my back, whispering, knew you'd shine, outshone spotlights. Mia's world expanded too. Kindergarten loomed, her backpack monogrammed with rainbow threads, a nod to our blended banner. Ryan's co-parenting evolved from stilted to steady. Weekend overnights at his Seattle Pi de Terra, video calls laced with genuine queries. How's school prep? Ethan navigated warily, but trust budded. Mia the unwitting diplomat. Daddy and Papa Ryan both make good pancakes, she'd declare, oblivious to the miracle. Yet undercurrents stirred, subtle as Seattle fog. Lila's visits unearthed a surprise. Her own coming out, by and bold with Javier's support. Watched you too. She confessed over wine, Mia Abed. Made me honest. Ethan hugged her fierce. Tears mutual. Family evolves. The revelation rippled, strengthening our circle. Portland trips now sister-brother bonding. Javier's grilling a ritual. My Tacoma bridge creaked forward. Mom's emails warmed, recipes shared. Then a visit. Her in our kitchen, aproned, kneading dough with Mia. Dad trailed, taciturn, but his gaze softened at Ethan's tales of hospital heroics. Tough bird, he grunted, clapping my shoulder. No full embrace, but progress. A photo together, framed on the mantel, ghosts laid gentler. The first real post-remission snag hit via work. For me, a commission from a conservative client, a family foundation logo. Traditional values, their brief specified, but sketches veered modern, inclusive. Pushback came. Less. Colorful. Ethan, sensing my frustration, advised, your art, your truth. I revised boldly, subtle rainbows in the crests, and they bit, grudging praise. Edgy, but fits. Victory small, but affirming. Authenticity pays. Bigger waves crashed with Mia's school start. First day jitters manifesting as clingy mornings, whispers from classmates about two dads. Ethan fielded parent-teacher coffee, charm deflecting probes. We're just us, proud parents. But one evening, she arrived home tear-streaked. Timmy said families have one mommy and daddy. Am I weird? The question gutted us. Huddled on her rug amid stuffed animals. Ethan wiped her cheeks. Families are love shapes, circles, stars, whatever fits. Yours? Super special. I added stories of my weird family, turning pain to power. Bedtime hugs lingered, her sigh content. I like our shape. The conflict crested unexpectedly. Ryan's engagement announcement, a glossy invite to Mia's bonus ante wedding in Chicago. Ethan stared at the envelope, turmoil brewing. It's progress, I said, but his nod was wooden. Or manipulation, parading perfection while we're still mending. The drive to decide fractured us. Ethan pacing, fearing Mia's confusion, me advocating inclusion, for her sake. He's her dad too, I pressed. Denying it teaches division. Words escalated, old scars flaring. Ethan's abandonment fears clashing with my optimism born of loss. Easy for you, he snapped. Your family's thawing. Mine? Fractured by him. I reeled, stung. My family's thawing because I fought. Don't punish Mia for your pain. Silence slammed, him storming to the garage, me to the balcony, rain mocking our divide. Dawn brought mediation. Mia's drawing on the table, stick figure wedding with all of us dancing. Go together, she queried, eyes hopeful. We caved, booking flights, the truce fragile. Chicago shimmered, loop lights, Ryan's loft sleek, but warmth thawed. His fiancée, Sarah, genuine, hugging Mia like kin. Ceremony vows echoed our own unspoken ones, commitment amid chaos. Post-toast, Ryan pulled Ethan aside, voices low. I watched, tense, until handshakes emerged, shoulders unclenching. Return flight. Ethan leaned head on my shoulder. You're right. Division's the real poison. Forgiveness, partial, but potent, a chapter closed. Back home, we channeled momentum. Engagement planning, low-key, backyard vows with Mia as flower girl, Lila officiating. Rings simple, silver bands etched with Mia's initial, symbolizing our triad. But fate's pen lingered, inking one last twist. My gallery show's opening, a night of nerves and nectar. Crowds swelled, critics, collectors, queer icons, but Ethan's absence gnawed, a late shift. Mia and I mingled, her in a tiny dress, charming all, until chaos erupted. A pipe burst in the adjacent space, water cascading, panic rippling. Alarms wailed, evacuation hasty. In the scrum, Mia vanished. Heart seizing, I shoved through. Mia, voices drowned, but a small cry pierced. Unca Alex. Her wedged under a table, wide-eyed but unharmed. Cradling her out, breaths ragged, the terror crystallized. Our family, irreplaceable. News crews buzzed. Local artists show flooded, child safe. But headlines missed the heart. Ethan's arrival, siren-like, scooping us both, tears salting kisses. Never again, he vowed, of shifts, of risks. Home, wrapped in blankets, Mia asleep between, we whispered futures, adoption papers for me, therapy for collective scars. The climax crested not in drama, but depth, a quiet dawn, rings glinting as Ethan murmured, "Marry me tomorrow." Courthouse, just us three, no fanfare, but profound, vows exchanged under Seattle gray, Mia's "I do too" ceiling. Rings slipped on, papers stamped, we emerged family legal, eternal. Life post-vow hummed. Mia's kindergarten triumphs, Ethan's advocacy talks at Pride, my art touring. Ryan's wedding invite reciprocated, our union card, a nod. Prejudices faded, not gone, but diminished by our light. And in stolen moments, Ethan's hand in mine, Mia's laughter echoing. I knew. Babysitting that rainy night sparked a blaze, and we'd tend it forever. Years folded like well-worn pages, each chapter richer, etched with the patina of trials transcended. Mia bloomed into a whirlwind of 8-year-old curiosity, soccer cleats muddying the halls, science fair volcanoes erupting in the kitchen, her questions sharper. Why do some people hate rainbows, Daddy? Ethan fielded with patience honed by fire, weaving truths gentle as bedtime tales. Fear makes folks small. But love? It grows everything big. I'd chime in with sketches, rainbows as bridges, connecting hearts across divides, and she'd nod, fierce, like our family bridge. Our home evolved too. The brownstone sublet a fond memory, Capitol Hill house expanded with a studio annex for my canvas sprawl, Ethan's herb garden yielding basil for Mia's chef experiments. Freelance steadied into a boutique agency, queer-focused branding, clients from startups to nonprofits, affording date nights at waterfront bistros, where Ethan's foot hooked mine under tables, eyes promising more. Remission held, annual scans rituals of relief, though shadows of recurrence whispered in quiet hours. We countered with hikes, hands linked, Mia scouting treasures. Ryan's arc arced toward alliance, Sarah's warmth maternal, their Chicago home a holiday haven. Thanksgivings with pie fights, Mia's cousins quizzical than adoring. Old barbs blunted. One fireside chat, Ryan confessed. I was broken, projecting. You built better. Ethan clasped his shoulder. We both did. For her. Lila and Javier's twins arrived. Boy-girl chaos mirroring Mia's. Expanding the clan, Portland barbecues boisterous with toddler tag and Annie Tails. My Tacoma ties thickened, slow as moss. Mom's visits biannual, baking sessions yielding empanadas and halting heart-to-hearts. I was wrong, Mijo. Pride hurts less than regret. Dad's gruffness softened to checkers games with Mia, his good game, kid a grandfather's thaw. Marco's family bridged fully, nieces and nephews tumbling in our yard, Easter eggs hunts erasing old fractures. Conflicts, when they came, were softer tempests. Mia's tween stirrings, a school crush on classmate Lena sparking, am I like you too? Queries. We navigated open. Books on fluidity, talks on labels as loose as sails. Her relief palpable. Loves the boss. Ethan's work pressures peaked with ER expansions, burnout lurking. I pulled him back with enforced, unplugged weekends, canvases capturing his repose. Resting warrior, sold for charity, proceeds to cancer funds. The grandest surprise unfolded in legacy. Ethan's TEDx invite, parenting in the margins, a stage for his journey, from Ryan's wreckage to our woven whole. Rehearsals in the living room, Mia critiquing, more fist pumps, daddy. The night dazzled, standing ovation, viral clips sparking messages. You gave me courage. Backstage, his hug crushed, couldn't without you. My response, a commission, mural for the Queer Center, our family silhouette amid a Seattle skyline, rainbows arcing eternal. Yet climax calls and cycles, ours crested with Mia's crisis, a playground taunt escalating to shove, her lips split, spirit bruised. Home, ice packed to cheek, she sobbed. They said I'm broken home. Ethan and I flanked her, hearts shattering. Homes break to rebuild stronger, he said. Like my body, your heart, scars are stories. I added, and weirdos like us? We write the best ones. Therapy followed, school meetings, but her resilience shone. Channeling hurt to poetry, verses read at assembly, applause her armor. Ryan's support surprised, flying in, uncle role solidified, joining parent-teacher huddle, kids test boundaries. Ours, we set loving ones. The unity stunned, a full-circle grace. Lila's echo, look what fear lost. Love won. As Mia turned 10, our decade mark loomed. Anniversary vow renewal, intimate. Beach at Golden Gardens, sunset gilding waves, Mia scattering petals. Rings reapplied, words evolved. Ethan's you stayed, through storms. Mine, I chose in, every dawn. Her pledge, I'll protect our fort. Waves lapped approval, stars igniting. Post-vow, futures unfurled. College funds seeded, travel dreams. National parks with Mia's camera clicking horizons. Ethan's book deal, memoirs of margins. My gallery solo, families forged. Prejudices persisted. News cycles churning hate. But our bubble held, fortified by choice. In quiet evenings, Ethan beside me, Mia's snores drifting, I reflect. That rainy night, jacket forgotten, grief witnessed, spark to inferno. Babysitting birth belonging, a little family forever etched. And as his hand finds mine, pulse sinking, I know, love's not absence of storm, but dancing in it, drenched, alive.